Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code drasin12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. I'm broadcasting from my office again because I actually kind of like it in here. I'm going to use my set, but I just happen to be sitting here and I wanted to talk about some stuff that you might like. Many people ask me how Gold's Gym became famous. Why all of a sudden did this gym, out of all the gyms in the world, become number one? And they refer to Gold's Gym as the Mecca of bodybuilding, but they refer to the one in Venice on Hampton Street. Well, Hampton Street is huge. I mean, it's a big, big gym, but that was their third move. The first gym was on Brooks and Ocean Avenue, actually Pacific, 1006 Pacific. It was a cinder block building that Joe Gold had made himself. He had the property and he built the gym and he put it together with his own bare hands, and then he built all the equipment and put it in there too. That was in 1965, and he put it in there for his friends to train because they were training down on the beach and they had bad weather, and he says, let's just move something indoors and then we can have a place where we can all work out and be covered from the weather. So the gym had all this great equipment. I mean, stuff that he built that he measured just to suit your needs, and everything had the right angle to it, and you wanted a good workout, man, you could get it there. It just had it. Well, there was Dave Draper there, and there's a few other guys that lived in the area, Peanuts West, Steve Merjanian, people you probably haven't heard of that were weightlifters, and some bodybuilders from Santa Monica, because Santa Monica then was Muscle Beach. Venice was not Muscle Beach. A lot of people don't know that. They think Muscle Beach is the pit. Well, it is now, but it originally started right next to the Santa Monica Pier. And then a few years after that, the city got a hold of it and said, no, we don't want the bodybuilders in Santa Monica. One of them molested a young girl, and they're out of here. We're closing down the bodybuilding beach. They have to move somewhere else. So they moved their equipment up underneath the Surfrider Hotel on Ocean Avenue. It was big garage parking. And they moved the gym up there, and then later on they ended up down at Gold's in Venice. That's how that all came about. So when Arnold came out from Austria to train, Joe Weider brought him out, and he paid him $1,000 a month to be in his magazines and to work with him under a contract, and Dave Draper was the number one guy at the time. So Arnold came along and he actually superseded Dave because he took a lot more attention than anybody else, and Franco and people wanted to be like him. So they said, well, where is he training? And Joe Weider starts plastering pictures of Gold's Gym in Venice all over his magazines. Muscle Power, Muscle Fitness, Shape came out later. The Muscle Fitness magazine was like the largest magazine around for bodybuilding, and I had an ad for t-shirts because Joe told me you'll make a fortune in here with your t-shirts if you sell them, which I did. So people around the world would read those magazines and they'd see all of us training there, and they'd see Frank Zane and Draper and Ed Giuliani and people who would come into that gym to train. Now the gym itself wasn't very big. It was about the size of a postage stamp. But it did have the, I want to say it had the feeling when you walked in of there. The energy was like, I just want to work out. He had no music. He didn't have water bottles or treadmills or Stairmasters or any of that stuff, which I've mentioned before. All the cardio you did running on the beach, if you're going to do that at all. But he had the weights and he had the dumbbells, and everything was handmade up to fit your hand perfectly. Those dumbbell handles were like bell handles. They were unbelievable. So when people around the world would see the pictures of all the guys training there, then they thought, well, this must be the Mecca of bodybuilding. This must be where everything is. Now, Joe Gold, take this now. If Joe Gold didn't have that gym, and if Joe Weider hadn't come there to put people in the magazine, there'd be no Gold's Gym today. There would be no people like Arnold and those guys to promote the sport because there was nowhere for them to go. And Weider with his magazine really blew it up real big. And then I did the logo for them, and that became like the largest one in the world. And just everything took off from there and became this monumental thing for bodybuilding. And people would come from all over. I think it was 1971, I believe, Joe Gold sold the gym. He was tired of it. He didn't want to be with the gym anymore, and he decided that he's going to go back out to sea as a merchant marine. So he sold his name. He sold Gold's Gym. Then Gold's was bought by somebody else for a year or two, and then they moved over to 2nd Street in Santa Monica in a building that Robert Blake had owned, much bigger building, and they were there for quite a while. And Steve, Pete Grimkowski and some of the guys owned it, and they bought it for not a lot of money either. So it stayed there for a while, and then they found this place on Hampton, and they moved over there, and then it became huge. And then they end up over the years selling it to Omni Hotels, and then I don't know, I think Omni Hotel still has it, their headquarters in Texas. But this is how the gym evolved. And when Joe Gold came back in 1976 as a merchant marine, he said, "But I want my gym back. I want my gym," just like you guys would say, "Gee, they moved my gym, where am I going to train?" So he gathered up all of his equipment. He had another piece of lot on 2210 Main Street, which was literally right across from my apartment, right out the door. And it's a double-story building, and he built World Gym there, and it was just amazing. It was a beautiful gym. Same equipment like he had down at the beach, just a different building. Parking underneath. It had a sun deck in the back with weights on the sun deck. I mean, it had everything. So he stayed there for quite a while, and it wasn't supposed to be within 10 miles of Gold's Gym, but I think he was. I think it was within a few miles. He got a lot of the steadies from Gold's, like Arnold and all those guys that were loyal to him, because everybody was loyal to Joe, and they weren't loyal to the new owners of Gold's Gym because they didn't have any reason to be. So Joe kept that location for a while. Then he moved down the street about 2 miles to another building that he built, a 3-story building that was a gymnastics center, ended up being a gymnastics center, and it was a really nice building as well. I just didn't have the atmosphere that the original did. I mean, I trained there and it was quiet, and it just, I don't know, just didn't have it. He ended up getting rid of that building, and then he moved everything over to Washington and Lincoln Boulevard in, well, it's not Culver City, but I believe it's LA or parts of Venice or parts of Marina del Rey. It was an old Sizzler steakhouse, and he moved everything in there, and he made it into the World Gym. And it was a nice place. It was good, but it never had the aura that the original Golds had, or the original World Gym. So that's where everything evolved, and that's where everything went. In 2004, he passed away. He had a very bad back and was in a wheelchair, and the gym just wasn't taking care of itself. What happened was, a lot of the members trained there for free because Joe was that kind of guy. You can't have money? Come on, you can train for nothing. So he had money, so he took care of it. He had a franchise at the World Gym. He had leather jackets. He had clothing that I designed for him, and he made all his money off that. So when he passed away, a lot of the members kept going in, and someone took it over, and they said, "Look, you're going to have to pay membership now." And someone said, "Well, why would I have to pay membership? Joe never charged me." He says, "Well, Joe is not here anymore, and we're running the gym, and we need money to keep it going. So if you want to come to this gym, you got to pay to keep the doors open and pay the rent and all that." So quite a few of the guys left, and they went over to Gold's. They didn't want to pay, which was kind of selfish. So eventually that gym closed down and was bought out by somebody else, and that was the end of that. The end of that era. And it's really sad because there was a lot of good memories from those days. And back at the original Golds, as I've mentioned over and over, that's never going to be the same, ever in a million years. And the World Gym, too, and back in the 80s, it was a great gym. And we had a lot of fun in that with the people that worked out there. A lot of guys that you know, famous bodybuilders. And then, like I said, they went over to Hampton for Golds, which is a whole other group in the 80s. And that was nice, too. It was fun. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that because it's an interesting story, and a lot of people don't know about it. And one of the sad things today with today's generation that goes to Gold's gyms all over the world, there's not one picture of Joe Gold on the wall. And if he hadn't existed, that gym would not be here. It was up to him. And there was about a dozen of us that trained with him that made the magazines and made the gym famous. So I hope you enjoy that little story. It's one of my many, but it's a good one. And thanks for watching Rick's Corner, and thanks for your support. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interests as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
equalizer, baby. See you next time.